Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Manhattan penthouse. Carmen Silva pressed her back against the mahogany door, heart pounding as Nathaniel Hayes turned from the window. His steel-gray eyes cut through the dim light. "You heard the phone call. It wasn't a question." Carmen's fingers tightened on her cleaning supplies, the lemon scent of polish suddenly nauseating. "I didn't mean to, Mr. Hayes. I was just... Your daughter needs surgery. $200,000. His voice was cold, factual. "The hospital moves her date up next week. Her condition is deteriorating." The supplies clattered to the floor. Carmen's vision blurred. "How do you..." "I listen." He moved closer, and she caught the scent of bergamot and expensive leather. "I need a wife. 30 days or my grandfather's will triggers a clause that strips me of everything. The company, the fortune. All of it goes to my cousin Marcus." Carmen stared at him, unable to process the words. "I don't understand what you're asking." 6 months. "A contract. You get the surgery money plus another $300,000 when it ends. I keep my inheritance." The room tilted. Outside, thunder rolled across the city like a warning. "You want me to marry you? For money? I want you to save your daughter's life." His jaw clenched. "I'm offering you the only chance Sophia has. The hospital called again while you were upstairs. They're running out of time." Hot tears burned down Carmen's cheeks. She thought of Sophia's pale face, her labored breathing, the way she'd stopped asking when the pain would go away. "Why me?" Something flickered in his eyes, almost like pain. "Because you're the only woman I've met who doesn't look at me and see dollar signs. You barely see me at all." He pulled a contract from his desk, held it out. Carmen stared at the papers, at the man offering her everything and nothing. "If I sign this, what happens to us when it's over?" "We go back to being strangers." Carmen reached for the pen, her fingers trembling. The scratch of ink on paper sounded too loud, too final. "There's one more thing." Nathaniel's voice dropped lower. "My family can't know the truth. Neither can the press. To everyone else, this has to look real. Completely real. How real?" He stepped closer, so close she could feel the heat radiating from him. "Real enough to convince my grandmother, who's been married 53 years. Real enough to fool reporters who'll dig into every moment of your past. Real enough that when we're in public, you'll have to look at me like you love me." Carmen's breath caught. The weight of what she was agreeing to crashed over her. "I can do that, can you?" His eyes searched hers. "Because once we start this, there's no going back. You'll move into this penthouse tomorrow. You'll wear my ring. You'll sleep in my bed. I thought this was just business." "It is, but business requires commitment." He pulled a velvet box from his pocket, opened it. The diamond inside caught the lightning, throwing fractured light across the walls. "Put it on." Carmen's hands shook as she slid the ring onto her finger. It was heavy, cold, beautiful, wrong. "Perfect fit," Nathaniel murmured. "I had it sized yesterday." She looked up sharply. "Yesterday? You knew I'd say yes? I knew you'd do anything for Sophia." He turned away back to the window. "We all have our price, Carmen. You just found yours." The words hit like a slap. Carmen stared at his silhouette against the storm, at the man who'd just bought her desperation. "When do we start?" "Now." He glanced back and something dark moved behind his eyes. "Pack your things tonight. Tomorrow morning we announce our engagement. Tomorrow afternoon my lawyer transfers the surgery funds. Tomorrow night you become Mrs. Nathaniel Hayes. That fast? Time is a luxury neither of us can afford." He walked to his bar, poured amber liquid into a crystal glass. "My driver will take you home. Be back here by 8 a.m. Don't be late." Carmen nodded, moving toward the door on numb legs. Her hand was on the handle when his voice stopped her. "Carmen," she turned. Nathaniel stood in the shadows, face half hidden. "I hope you're a good liar, because if anyone discovers the truth, we both lose everything." The door closed behind her with a soft click. In the elevator down, Carmen looked at the ring on her finger, at the stranger's promise wrapped around her hand. Her phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Sophia's surgery had been moved up to 5 days. 5 days to become someone else. 5 days before her daughter's heart gave out. Carmen closed her eyes and tried to remember what her own heartbeat used to feel like before she sold it for $500,000 and a lie. The charity gala sparkled like a jewelry box come to life. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow prisms across the ballroom, while Manhattan's elite circled in designer gowns and tailored suits. Carmen tugged at the emerald dress Nathaniel had bought her, feeling like a fraud wrapped in silk. "Stop fidgeting." His breath was warm against her ear, his hand firm on the small of her back. "You're drawing attention. They're all staring at me anyway. Let them stare." His fingers traced small circles against her spine, and Carmen hated how her body responded. "You're the most beautiful woman here." That's not what they're thinking. I don't care what they think. A woman with platinum hair and calculating eyes materialized before them, champagne flute glinting. "Nathaniel, darling." Her smile was all teeth. "You simply must introduce me to your surprising bride." "Victoria." Nathaniel's voice went cold. "This is Carmen, my wife." The word still felt foreign, dangerous. Carmen extended her hand. "Victoria Ashworth." The woman's grip was brief, dismissive. "I simply must know how you two met. The tabloids are calling it the romance of the century." Carmen's throat went dry. They'd rehearsed this, but standing here surrounded by Nathaniel's world made the lies feel impossible. "I fell for her the moment I saw her." Nathaniel's voice softened in a way that sounded almost real. "She was in my office, humming this old Spanish song my grandmother used to sing. I knew I had to make her mine." The lie rolled off his tongue so smoothly it made Carmen's chest ache. Victoria's eyes narrowed. How wonderfully quaint. "And tell me, Carmen, what did you do before you became Mrs. Hayes?" The air in the room seemed to thin. Carmen felt every gaze turn toward her, waiting for her to stumble. "I worked hard. I took care of my daughter. I didn't need anything more. But now you have everything." Victoria's smile sharpened. "How convenient." Nathaniel's arm tightened around Carmen, protective in a way that felt too genuine to be part of their contract. "My wife prefers privacy. I'm sure you understand." They moved through the crowd, and Carmen caught fragments of whispered conversations floating past like poison. "Gold digger." "Cleaning lady." What was he thinking? Each word was a knife twist. Nathaniel's jaw clenched, but he said nothing, just kept guiding her forward through the glittering crowd. On the balcony, away from prying eyes, Carmen finally let herself breathe. The city sprawled below them, alive with lights and possibilities she'd never dreamed of touching. "You did well in there." Nathaniel loosened his tie, and in the moonlight he looked younger, more vulnerable. "Did I?" Because it felt like drowning. "Welcome to my world." He leaned against the railing, and something in his posture cracked open. "They've been circling like sharks since the announcement. My cousin Marcus especially. He's been waiting for me to fail for years. The one who gets everything if you don't marry. The one who'd burn the company to the ground just to watch it die." Nathaniel's voice went dark. "My grandfather built Hayes Industries from nothing. Marcus would sell it in pieces to the highest bidder. Is that why you're doing this? Just for money?" He turned to her, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. "My grandfather took me in when I was 8. After my parents died in a car crash, he gave me a reason to wake up every morning. This company, it's not just money. It's his legacy, his belief that I could be more than the broken kid who watched his parents bleed out on a highway." The confession hung between them, raw and unexpected. Carmen saw the boy behind the billionaire, the wound that never healed. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. Why would you? We're strangers playing house." But his voice softened. "How's Sophia?" The question surprised her. They'd barely discussed her daughter since signing the contract. "The surgery is scheduled for tomorrow. They said if everything goes well, she'll need 6 weeks recovery. You should be there, with her." "I can't. We have that meeting with your lawyers in the morning and the press conference after." "Carmen." He caught her wrist, gentle but firm. "Nothing is more important than your daughter." "We'll reschedule everything." Tears pricked her eyes. For a moment, she forgot they were acting. "Why are you being kind to me?" Something dangerous flickered across his face. "Maybe I'm not as heartless as everyone thinks." Before she could respond, the balcony doors burst open. A man with Nathaniel's sharp features but cruel eyes stepped out, a woman in red clinging to his arm. Well, the happy couple. Marcus Hayes smiled like a shark. "I had to see it for myself. My cousin, married to the help. How delightfully democratic. Nathaniel's entire body went rigid. Marcus, I didn't realize they let vipers into charity events. Oh, don't be bitter. I'm just here to meet my new cousin-in-law. Marcus turned his predatory gaze to Carmen. Tell me, sweetheart, how much did he pay you? I'm curious what the going rate is for 6 months of playing pretend. Carmen's blood went cold. Nathaniel stepped between them, his voice dropping to something lethal. Say another word, and I'll make sure you never set foot in this city again. Touchy. Marcus laughed, but there was calculation in his eyes. Don't worry, cousin. Your secret's safe with me. For now. He disappeared back into the gala, leaving them in the sudden silence. Nathaniel's hands were shaking. He knows. How could he? Marcus knows everything. He's probably had investigators digging into you since the engagement announcement. Nathaniel turned to her, fear cracking through his controlled exterior. If he proves this marriage is fake, we both lose. You don't get the money. Sophia doesn't get her surgery. And I lose everything my grandfather built. Carmen grabbed his arms, forcing him to look at her. Then we make sure he can't prove anything. We make this so real that even we start to believe it. Their eyes locked. The city hummed below them, oblivious to the war being waged on this balcony. That's dangerous, Nathaniel whispered. So is everything worth having. He cupped her face with both hands, and for a heartbeat, Carmen thought he might kiss her. Instead, he pressed his forehead against hers, and the gesture felt more intimate than any kiss could be. Tomorrow, when Sophia goes into surgery, I'm coming with you. You don't have to. I know. His thumb traced her cheekbone. But maybe I want to. Carmen closed her eyes, feeling the ground shift beneath her feet. This was supposed to be business. Just business. But as Nathaniel pulled her close and the night wrapped around them like a secret, Carmen realized they'd already crossed a line neither of them had meant to touch. The hospital waiting room smelled of antiseptic and fear. Nathaniel sat beside Carmen, their hands clasped so tightly her fingers had gone numb. Through the glass doors she could see Sophia being wheeled toward surgery, her small body swallowed by the gurney. She's going to be okay. Nathaniel's voice was steady, but his grip betrayed him. You don't know that. I know your daughter is a fighter, just like her mother. Carmen turned to him, seeing the exhaustion carved into his features. He'd been awake all night, making calls, ensuring Sophia had the best surgical team in the country, staying by Carmen's side when he could have been anywhere else. Why are you really here, Nathaniel? He was quiet for a long moment, watching doctors move behind glass. My mother died in a hospital like this. I was 8, sitting in a room just like this one, and my father kept telling me she'd be okay. He was lying. I swore I'd never lie to a kid in a hospital again. The confession broke something open in Carmen's chest. Sophia doesn't know about us, about the contract. What does she know? That you're the man who saved her life. Carmen's voice cracked. She asked me if you were her new daddy. I didn't know what to say. Nathaniel's jaw tightened. What did you tell her? That you were someone special, someone who cared. Do you believe that? She looked at him, at the way the harsh hospital lights caught the vulnerability in his eyes. I'm starting to. Hours bled together. They sat in silence, then in quiet conversation, then in silence again. Nathaniel bought terrible coffee from the vending machine. Carmen told him about Sophia's favorite books, her dream of becoming a dancer, the way she'd painted their tiny apartment ceiling with glow-in-the-dark stars. She sounds incredible, Nathaniel said softly. She is. She's everything. Then why didn't her father help? With the medical bills? The question landed like a blow. Carmen stared at the floor, at years of shame crystallizing into words. Diego left when I was 6 months pregnant. Said he didn't sign up for a sick kid. Sophia was born with the heart defect, and he disappeared before I even brought her home from the hospital. He abandoned you both. He made his choice. I made mine. Carmen's voice hardened. I don't need him. I never did. Nathaniel's hand found hers again, and the touch felt deliberate, real. You're not alone anymore. Before Carmen could respond, the surgeon emerged, still in scrubs. They both shot to their feet. The surgery went perfectly. Sophia's strong. She's going to recover fully. Carmen's knees buckled. Nathaniel caught her, held her as relief crashed over her in waves. She sobbed against his chest while he murmured words she couldn't quite hear, his hands steady on her back. Can I see her? She's in recovery. Give us 20 minutes. When the surgeon left, Carmen pulled back from Nathaniel, suddenly aware of how completely she'd fallen apart in his arms. Thank you. For everything. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. This contract, it's not just business anymore. You saved my daughter's life. However this ends, I owe you. You don't owe me anything. His voice went sharp. This isn't about debt. Then what is it about? The question hung between them. Nathaniel's eyes searched hers, and Carmen saw him wrestling with something he couldn't quite name. I don't know anymore. They were interrupted by Carmen's phone buzzing. A text from an unknown number. She opened it, and the blood drained from her face. It was a photo of her and Nathaniel at the gala, another of them entering his penthouse, a third of her old apartment building, and beneath them, a message. I know what you really are. The whole world will know soon. Nathaniel read over her shoulder, his body going rigid. Marcus. He's going to expose us. Not if I stop him first. Nathaniel's voice went cold, dangerous. Stay with Sophia. I'll handle this. Nathaniel, wait. But he was already walking away, fury radiating from every line of his body. Carmen watched him disappear through the hospital doors, leaving her, alone with the wreckage of their carefully constructed lie. 3 weeks passed in a blur. Sophia recovered faster than expected, filling the penthouse with laughter that had been absent for too long. She adored Nathaniel, climbing into his lap during movie nights, asking him to read her bedtime stories, calling him Nathaniel because Daddy is for forever, and I don't know if you're staying. The words haunted Carmen. Because Nathaniel was staying. He'd moved business meetings to be home for dinner. He'd learned to braid Sophia's hair. He'd transformed the guest room into a princess sanctuary, complete with those glow-in-the-dark stars. And somewhere between the hospital and now, their contract marriage had started feeling dangerously real. It was midnight when Carmen found Nathaniel on the balcony, staring at the city, with a glass of whiskey in his hand. Can't sleep, she asked. Never can. He didn't turn around. Did Sophia finally crash? Out cold. She made me promise you'd make pancakes tomorrow. I can do that. Carmen moved beside him, and the silence between them felt comfortable, familiar. You've been avoiding me. Since the hospital. I've been busy. Liar. He finally looked at her, and the intensity in his gaze stole her breath. What do you want me to say, Carmen? That I can't stop thinking about you? That watching you with Sophia makes me want things I have no right to want? That this contract was supposed to be simple and now it's the most complicated thing in my life? Her heart hammered against her ribs. Nathaniel, we have 3 months left. 3 months, and then you walk away with your money and I go back to being alone. That was the deal. What if I don't want to walk away? The words escaped before she could stop them. Nathaniel's glass hit the railing with a sharp crack. Don't. Don't what? Don't make this harder than it already is. His voice broke. I can't give you what you deserve. I'm damaged goods, Carmen. I've spent 20 years building walls so high nothing can touch me. You and Sophia, you're breaking them down, and it terrifies me. Carmen reached for him, but he stepped back. The contract ends in 3 months. We both walk away. That's how this has to be. Why? Because I can't lose anyone else. The admission tore out of him. Everyone I've ever loved has left. My parents died. My grandmother is fading. If I let myself love you, really love you, and you leave, who says I'd leave? Everyone leaves eventually. Carmen grabbed his face, forcing him to see her. I'm still here. After everything, I'm still here. For one perfect moment, she thought he might kiss her. His eyes dropped to her lips, his breath hitching. Then his phone rang. Nathaniel pulled away, answered with a clipped, "Hayes." His face went white. When? How bad? Carmen's stomach dropped. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He hung up, and when he looked at her, there was devastation in his eyes. It's my grandmother. She had a stroke. They don't know if she'll make it through the night. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Carmen grabbed her coat. We're in this together, remember? Something shifted in his expression, gratitude mixed with something deeper. Together, he repeated, like he was testing the word. They raced to the hospital, but Carmen couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. That the fragile thing they'd built was balanced on a knife's edge, and somewhere in the darkness, Marcus Hayes was sharpening his blade. Eleanor Hayes looked impossibly fragile against the white hospital sheets. Tubes and wires connected her to machines that beeped rhythmically in the dim room. Her eyes, still sharp despite the stroke, tracked Nathaniel as he entered. Grandmother. His voice cracked. Don't you dare cry, boy. Eleanor's words were slurred but fierce. I'm not dead yet. Carmen hung back by the door, feeling like an intruder on something sacred. But Eleanor's gaze found her. Come here, child. Carmen approached the bed, Nathaniel's hand finding hers. Eleanor studied their joined hands with knowing eyes. You love him. It wasn't a question. Carmen opened her mouth to deny it, to maintain the fiction, but Eleanor raised a trembling hand. I was married 53 years. I know the difference between obligation and devotion. Her eyes moved to Nathaniel. And you love her. Don't bother lying to me now. Nathaniel's grip tightened on Carmen's hand. Grandmother, please rest. Rest is for the dead, and I'm not quite there. Eleanor's laugh turned into a cough. When she recovered, her expression had turned serious. Marcus came to see me yesterday. Before this happened, the room temperature seemed to drop. What did he tell you? That your marriage is a fraud? That you hired Carmen to fool me, to secure your inheritance? Eleanor's eyes glittered. Is it true? Silence crashed over them. Carmen felt the foundation of everything crumbling. It started that way. Nathaniel's voice was barely audible. But it's not anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. Then tell me the truth. All of it. Nathaniel looked at Carmen, and she saw the question in his eyes. They'd come this far on lies. Maybe it was time for truth. Carmen's daughter needed surgery she couldn't afford. I needed a wife to keep my inheritance. We made a contract. 6 months of pretending, and she'd get the money for Sophia's operation. Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. And now? Now I can't imagine my life without them. The admission seemed to cost him everything. Both of them. Eleanor reached out, her hand shaking as she grasped Nathaniel's. Your grandfather put that clause in the will because he wanted you to find what we had. Not just a marriage certificate, but a partner. Someone who sees you, truly sees you, and stays anyway. She looked at Carmen. Did you find that? Carmen's throat burned with unshed tears. I found more than I ever thought possible. Then Marcus can go to hell. Eleanor's smile was fierce. The contract might have been fake, but what you've built is real. That's all that matters. A doctor entered, quietly suggesting they let Eleanor rest. Nathaniel kissed his grandmother's forehead, whispering something Carmen couldn't hear. As they left, Eleanor called out one last time. Nathaniel, don't let her go. The world is full of contracts and obligations. True love is the only thing worth breaking the rules for. In the hallway, Nathaniel leaned against the wall. everything he'd been holding back finally breaking free. I almost lost her, just like I lost everyone else. Carmen wrapped her arms around him, and he buried his face in her shoulder, his body shaking with silent sobs. She's going to be okay. You heard the doctor. It's not just her. It's you. It's Sophia. It's this entire impossible thing we've created. He pulled back, his eyes red. Marcus is going to destroy us. He has proof of the contract, proof of what we did. Let him. Carmen, let him expose us. I don't care anymore. She grabbed his face, making him see her. I signed that contract to save my daughter. Mission accomplished. But I stayed because of you. Because somewhere between the lies and the pretending, I fell in love with you. The confession hung in the air between them. Dangerous and true. You can't love me. Too late. Carmen, I'm broken. I'm cold and calculating, and I'll probably hurt you. Then hurt me. I don't care. I'd rather have you broken than not have you at all. Nathaniel kissed her. It wasn't gentle or hesitant. It was desperate and real and tasted like every word they'd been too afraid to say. Carmen melted into him, her hands in his hair, his arms crushing her against him like he was afraid she'd disappear. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Nathaniel pressed his forehead to hers. I love you. God help me. I love you so much it terrifies me. Then we fight. Together. Whatever Marcus throws at us, he's not just going to throw rumors. A new voice cut through their moment. They spun around. Marcus stood at the end of the hallway, phone in hand, a triumphant smile on his face. That was quite touching. Really, I almost felt sorry for you. He held up the phone. But not sorry enough to delete this recording. Carmen's blood turned to ice. You recorded us. Every beautiful word. And tomorrow morning, it goes to every media outlet in New York. The billionaire's fake wife confession. It'll be spectacular. Nathaniel moved toward him, murder in his eyes. If you do this, I'll destroy you. With what? Your reputation? Your company? Both will be gone by noon tomorrow. Marcus's smile widened. But I'm not completely heartless. I'll give you a choice. Sign over Hayes Industries to me right now, tonight, and I'll delete the recording. You can keep your little family charade going. No one has to know. That's my grandfather's legacy. That's my inheritance. It should have been mine from the start. Marcus's facade cracked, revealing the bitterness beneath. I was the one who stayed when you were too broken to function. I'm the one who deserved everything. But instead, grandfather gave it all to his golden boy. He gave it to me because I'd actually protect it. You'd sell it in pieces, so what if I would? It's just a company. Just money. Marcus stepped closer. But this, your precious fake wife and her sick kid, they matter to you. So choose, the company or them. You have 1 hour. He walked away, leaving them in the fluorescent hallway with an impossible decision. Carmen turned to Nathaniel, seeing the war raging behind his eyes. You're not giving him the company. If I don't, he ruins you. Sophia, everything. So he ruins us. We'll survive. No. Nathaniel's voice went hard. I won't let him hurt you. Either of you. Nathaniel, please, I need to think. He pulled away from her, and the distance felt like miles. Go home, be with Sophia. I'll handle this. We handle this together. Not this time. He walked away, leaving Carmen alone in the hospital corridor, watching the man she loved choose between his past and his future. And she realized with cold certainty that sometimes love wasn't enough to break through 20 years of walls. Carmen returned to the penthouse at dawn, exhausted and terrified. Sophia was still asleep. Carmen collapsed on the couch, her phone clutched in her hand, waiting for Nathaniel's call. It came at 8 a.m. It's done. What's done? I signed the company over to Marcus. It's over. Carmen's world tilted. You gave up everything. Not everything. His voice softened. I still have you. If you'll have me. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed with a news alert. She clicked it, and her heart stopped. The headline screamed, Billionaire's contract bride exposed. The fake marriage that fooled Manhattan below it. A photo of the contract. Every clause, every dollar amount, every lie. He did it anyway, she whispered. You gave him everything, and he still exposed us. On the other end, Nathaniel's silence was deafening. I'm sorry. Carmen, I'm so sorry. Where are you? It doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Come home. We'll figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. I failed. I lost the company. I lost my family's legacy, and I still couldn't protect you. You protected what matters. You chose us, and look what it cost. His voice broke. Everyone was right. I'm not built for this. I ruin everything I touch. That's not true. Goodbye, Carmen. The line went dead. Carmen stared at her phone, at the news spreading like wildfire, at the wreckage of everything they'd built. Behind her, a small voice asked, "Mommy, where's Nathaniel?" She turned to see Sophia in the doorway, clutching the stuffed bear Nathaniel had bought her, confusion and fear in her eyes. Carmen had no answer. Because Nathaniel Hayes, the man who'd saved her daughter's life and stolen her heart, had disappeared into the city that had always been his cage. And she didn't know if he was ever coming back. 3 days. Nathaniel had been gone for 3 days, and Carmen felt like she was drowning. The media circus was relentless. Reporters camped outside the penthouse. Her phone rang constantly with interview requests, threats, and cruel messages from strangers who thought they knew her story. Sophia cried herself to sleep asking for Nathaniel, and Carmen had no comfort to offer because she was breaking too. On the 4th morning, Carmen made a decision. She found Marcus Hayes in his new corner office at Hayes Industries, feet up on what used to be Nathaniel's desk. Well, the fake wife. Come to beg? Carmen walked to the desk, shoulders back, chin high. I came to make a deal. Marcus laughed. You have nothing I want. I have the truth. She pulled out her phone, queued up a recording. See, the thing about desperate people is we're usually pretty resourceful. I've been recording our conversation since the hospital, including the part where you admitted to blackmailing Nathaniel. Marcus's smirk faltered. That's illegal. So is extortion. Want to compare lawyers? What do you want? Give Hayes Industries back to Nathaniel. Publicly apologize for the blackmail. Admit you manipulated the situation. And if I don't? This recording goes to every news outlet that published your lies, along with financial documents showing you've been embezzling from company accounts for 2 years. Carmen stepped closer. You weren't careful enough, Marcus. I had time to dig. Turns out cleaning ladies have access to a lot of offices after hours. The color drained from Marcus's face. You're bluffing. Try me. Carmen's voice went cold. You took everything from the man I love because you were jealous. Now I'm taking it back. You have 24 hours to transfer the company back and release a statement, or I destroy you the way you tried to destroy us. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Marcus, next time you try to ruin someone's life, make sure they don't have more to lose than you do. Makes them dangerous. Carmen walked out, her heart pounding, hands shaking with adrenaline. She'd just gambled everything on a bluff. The recordings were real, but she had no proof of embezzlement. She'd been betting that Marcus's guilt and paranoia would do the rest. 20 hours later, her gamble paid off. The news broke at dawn. Marcus Hayes admits to blackmail. Returns company to Cousin Carmen's phone exploded with notifications, but she only cared about one. She grabbed Sophia and raced to the only place Nathaniel would be. The cemetery was quiet, frost coating the headstones. She found him kneeling by his parents' graves, shoulders hunched against the cold. You shouldn't have done that. Carmen stopped a few feet away. Sophia's hand tightened hers. Someone had to. He stood, turned, and the devastation in his eyes nearly broke her. You risked everything. If Marcus had called your bluff, he didn't, because bullies are cowards. And you taught me that sometimes you have to fight for what matters. Nathaniel's gaze dropped to Sophia, who was staring at him with huge, hopeful eyes. I missed you, Sophia said softly. I missed you too. Princess, are you staying this time? Mommy says you're staying. Nathaniel looked at Carmen, and she saw the war still raging behind his eyes. I don't know if I can be what you both need. Carmen closed the distance between them. We don't need you to be perfect. We need you to be here, present, fighting with us instead of running away. I've spent 20 years running, then stop. She took his face in her hands. You gave up everything to protect us. You chose love over legacy, us over your past. That's not failure, Nathaniel. That's the bravest thing I've ever seen anyone do. I'm terrified I'll hurt you. You will. And I'll hurt you. That's what happens when you let someone in. But I'd rather hurt together than be safe and alone. Sophia tugged on Nathaniel's coat. Mommy says love means staying even when it's hard. Is that true? Nathaniel dropped to his knees, eye level with the little girl who'd stolen his heart alongside her mother. Yes. That's exactly what it means. Then stay. Please. He looked up at Carmen, tears tracking down his face. I'm broken. So fix yourself. With us, not alone. I love you. Both of you. So much it scares me. Good. Carmen knelt beside him, Sophia between them. Fear means it matters. Means it's real. Nathaniel pulled them both close, and Carmen felt the last of his walls crumble. They stayed like that. 3 broken people holding each other together in a cemetery surrounded by ghosts, choosing life over fear. Later, back at the penthouse, Nathaniel made hot chocolate while Sophia chattering about everything he'd missed. Eleanor had been released from the hospital and was already planning a proper wedding. The media had moved on to the next scandal. Hayes Industries was recovering under Nathaniel's renewed leadership. Life, impossibly, was moving forward. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Carmen found Nathaniel on the balcony. Their spot, where everything had changed that first night weeks ago. Regrets? She asked. None. He pulled her close. Except maybe taking so long to realize what I had. We have time now. About that. He turned her to face him. The contract expires in 6 weeks. Carmen's heart stuttered. I know. I think we should rip it up. What? Nathaniel reached into his pocket, pulled out the folded papers. Their contract. The lie that had brought them together. This was never real. It was never us. He held out a lighter. But this is. Together, they watched the contract burn. Flames eating through clauses and dollar amounts and carefully constructed lies. The ashes scattered in the wind, carrying away the last remnants of what they'd been. So what are we now? Carmen asked. Real. Nathaniel kissed her, soft and sure. Complicated, messy, but real. I can live with that. Good, because you're stuck with me now. No contract, no escape clause. Just us figuring it out day by day. Sounds terrifying. Sounds perfect. 3 months later, Nathaniel and Carmen stood in Eleanor's garden, surrounded by actual friends instead of society vultures. Sophia was the flower girl, scattering petals with wild abandon. Eleanor sat in the front row, recovered and fierce, dabbing at her eyes. The vows weren't about obligation or contracts. They were about choosing each other every single day, about building something real from the ashes of what had been fake. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife for real this time, Nathaniel kissed Carmen like he was sealing a promise written in blood and hope. No more running, she whispered against his lips. No more running, he agreed. Sophia crashed into them both, wrapping her arms around their legs. We're a real family now, right? Nathaniel lifted her up. Carmen tucked against his side and felt something settle in his chest. Something that felt like peace. The realest family there is. As they walked back down the aisle together, Carmen thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago. Desperate. Alone. Willing to sell herself for her daughter's survival. She'd signed a contract expecting transaction. Instead, she'd found transformation. Sometimes the best love stories begin with lies, but they only survive on truth. The penthouse that night was full of laughter and light. Sophia asleep in her princess room, star-covered ceiling glowing above her. Carmen and Nathaniel on the balcony, the city spread before them like a promise. Thank you, Nathaniel said quietly. For what? For being brave enough to sign that contract. For being braver still to tear it up. For teaching me that love isn't a weakness to overcome, but a strength to embrace. Carmen kissed him, soft and sweet. Thank you for hiring your maid to be your wife. Best business decision I ever made. They stayed there as the city hummed below. 2 souls who'd found each other in the most impossible way. The contract was gone. The lies were buried, but what remained was stronger than either. Love. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful love. And sometimes, that's worth more than all the money in the world. The end.